Good morning, everyone. It's terrific to be back in Fairmont. I'm just grateful for so many people here in the community who have stepped up since the flood happened. It's been a pretty tough couple weeks in different parts of the state. We know that there's a lot of tough stuff that was going on here in Marion County, and we've tried to work very closely with all the local officials. I can say that on our end, this has been an opportunity to really work closely with people who have done a terrific job and are really looking out for the interests of their fellow citizens. Everyone stepped up to make sure that their brothers and sisters' needs were addressed. And I can say that that's happening in Marion County. That's certainly happening in Ohio County. I know, and I'm going to get to it a little bit, there was also some very tough weather last night, and we're going to address some of that. But we've had a particularly difficult stretch of weather over the course of the last few weeks. I want to start off by thanking a number of the first responders, the National Guard, our state agencies, the emergency management folks here on the ground, and everyone locally. Quite frankly, this has been a good working relationship. It's gone well in Marion County and Ohio County, in part because everyone's working together as a team. And we know how important it is to have people on the ground, those first responders and emergency manager, really coordinating effectively. You guys have done a terrific job. We appreciate it. We also want to thank the volunteers who have stepped up here in Marion County. I was here almost immediately after the flood, and you could tell there was a lot of interest, in particular because of the gruesome sight of that apartment building. And that was difficult. That went across the country. People saw how difficult the conditions were. I just got out of a roundtable meeting with a lot of local officials, mayors and county officials, and obviously legislative representatives here. We are fortunate to have several senators and a delegate here today, and we're going to keep working with everyone to do everything we can to address needs that are facing this community. But I do have a positive note I want to start on. Marion County's in good hands. You have some really terrific people that are working hard, and I want to commend them, the leadership that you've seen over the last few weeks. And we're eager to continue working with you to help make progress and to direct resources as appropriate to the places that really need it. I know how hard it's been for the residents of Marion County and Ohio County, but I wanted to provide an update in some detail on Ohio and some other information on Marion so people know exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, I'll start with the toughest news of all, which is obviously in Ohio County. We recently had confirmation that there was a 9th fatality due to the flood. We can rebuild our homes. We can obtain personal belongings. You can't bring people back to life. And I want to say to folks that I want to honor the spirit of how West Virginians have come together to honor the memory of the people that died through no fault of their own. Mother Nature was as nasty as you could possibly imagine and swept up those 9 people. And so I want to make sure that the memory we take out of this is that they sparked community interest and volunteerism and helped the citizens of our state so much because people were called to action, to do things, to put their own safety at risk, to step up, to help their fellow man. That's an amazing thing. And we have to remember that. And we have to make sure that we take that positive away. So I just can't say enough about the indomitable spirit of West Virginians and what they were willing to do. We now can say that we do not have any more missing persons, at least as of late last night. If we have any information on that front, we will let folks know. I can report that Marion County did not have any loss of life, so we're all very, very thankful for that. We did have some good news to report recently in terms of housing assistance. We know that there have been a lot of people on the ground working to help out, a lot of the people in need. You didn't have to, all you have to do was see the images from the apartment complex to know that a lot of people needed help. I know Fairmont State stepped up quickly and they were helpful. And now a lot of these people are settling in at a minimum for short-term housing. But these individuals are going to be able to tap into some of the $561,000 that we made available just yesterday to ensure that housing expenses can get met. It might be a security deposit, it might be rent, it might be other expenses, but we want to help those in need, those who are affected by the floods, whether it's Marion County, Ohio County, or all parts of West Virginia, including in southern West Virginia too. Last Friday, as you know, I requested a major disaster declaration, an emergency declaration from Donald Trump to unlock federal resources in Ohio and Marion counties. We've been in close contact with Homeland Security and with FEMA, and we're currently working with FEMA as we're continuing to gather information as they're doing their damage assessments. And in fact, on that point, it's so critical that if you have damage to report, we need to see that. That has to get submitted. Ultimately, that's a critical part of the process to ensure that the feds know exactly what happened on the ground, and then they'll make financial decisions as a result of it. So if you haven't done so already, we urge people to fill out their disaster survey form. And so folks can go to emd.wv.gov/disaster survey. That's emd.wv.gov/disaster survey. Fill that survey information out, and I think that's critical. We've had close to 1,000 people already submit evidence between Marion and Ohio counties, and we want to make sure we fully capture what's going on. Obviously, this has been a lot of work over the last few weeks. As many of you know, as soon as we heard and we were talking to people on the ground, I immediately deployed the National Guard to assist. I want to thank General Seward and all the folks on his team who've done an incredible job. They've really stepped up, and you've heard that in Marion County and in Ohio County, and they're still really, really busy. I believe we still have over 100 people in Ohio County still doing work. We know that there's been some tough weather. It's been very hot, so we want to be mindful for our seniors and people that are in a vulnerable spot, that neighbors continue to look out for each other. That's certainly critical. As of Wednesday, it's my understanding that all of the folks in Marion County on the Guard have left. So obviously, if there are issues that arise, we're always going to be available to help out. But I think that we were able to come in and do the job. And people in the meeting before said, well, you're never really ahead of schedule. You want to get it done as quickly as you can. There's been really good progress made in terms of work the Guard did. Obviously, what happened on the county level, you guys really stepped up, and people are moving quickly. A couple statistics for folks. In Ohio County, there's been nearly 11,000 tons of debris already removed and transported to some of the collection sites. As I mentioned, there are over 100 people on the ground. There's a lot of equipment up there. There's still 16 dump trucks with operators. I had a chance to see some of those when I was up there yesterday and the day before. I'll tell you what, these guys are working really hard in hot conditions, but there's a lot of equipment on the ground. In terms of emergency management, there's still multiple teams that are doing the damage assessments in Marion and Ohio counties with FEMA. Marion County's emergency operation status has been returned to under control, which I think is really good news. We know that Ohio County's emergency operation status remains destabilizing, meaning that there's still work related to the flood that's going on. And we're also assessing any new damage that might have occurred last night in Ohio County. I know that I saw some pictures coming out of Triadelphia from last night, and that was a community that was hit very, very hard. But we have not heard of any loss of life from last night, at least not that I've been made aware of before we started this briefing. So that's certainly good. Both counties do remain under states of emergency, and we know that we're going to continue to follow everything that's going on. A lot of work, good work done by Department of Highways. In Marion County, there's still people on the ground, over 30 people on the highways. 5 tandem trucks have been busy working. They were assisting the National Guard. There is still a road closure, we believe. County Route 19/76 Jackson Street. So there's one lane closed for slip repair, and that's expected to be completed, we hope, by next week. In Ohio County, there's still a lot of roads that are washed out, and there's a lot of work that's being done, and we'll be putting all resources in the next few weeks to try to open those up. Folks can get a listing of all those roads by checking our website and the Ohio Emergency Management Team to make sure that you're avoiding those areas. Many of those roads in Ohio County are just open for local traffic. So a lot of work being done in Marion County and obviously in Ohio County as well. Want to report there's still a bridge that's closed in Elm Grove, the Schilling Bridge, but a number of roads have reopened over the course of the last week and a half or so. All right, we know that DNR did a lot of good work early on in terms of swift boat rescues, and I want to commend them. These folks are incredible to work with. In fact, I've been so impressed, not only with all the local first responders and the action, but what some of the folks at our DOT and DNR and state police is truly awe-inspiring. These are people that really stepped up. So I'm proud of them. I'm proud of all the citizens of our state for how they've responded. They really utilized all the tools available to them to help people in need. I know that last night there were also some challenges I want to address on the turnpike, and I was made aware of those this morning. And so I think the most important thing is to ensure that traffic gets moving. It's been reported that there are no fatalities there. We're still collecting information, and we're going to get to the bottom of everything. I'm going to tell you that. We're going to get to the bottom of things to make sure that everything is done right. And if there are problems that were decisions that were made that were bad, we're going to make sure that we let people know about that. So, but we're investigating and reviewing all of that. But most importantly, we're trying to make sure that that road is fully passable. We know that it was hit pretty hard by multiple feet of water by exit 77. And so there are a lot of people on the ground working on that right now. So I'm happy to report back on that when we know more information. I just wanted to address that. We have to get to the bottom of that. And I'm not happy when I look and I see that people are sitting there. That's unacceptable. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to report that back to folks. Okay. This is a very difficult time, I think, for the state, but we're going to keep coming together and working to put our citizens first. I really am inspired by our state's indomitable spirit. And I want to send a message also to Ohio and Marion counties. We're going to be with you as you recover. And that's important. We have to be with you every step of the way. And I think when we do, we're going to all come out of this stronger than ever. So I want to thank people for coming, and happy to also turn it over to some of our folks to give General Seward and then Chris a chance to speak. General Seward.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. As the governor said, the National Guard was in Marion County and completed their work here, currently working in Ohio County and assessing in numerous other counties. As the governor mentioned, there was an incredible amount of rain throughout many different counties in the state last night. As far as we know this morning, we don't have significant damage to public infrastructure. We're still assessing what other flood damage might have occurred and where we might need to respond. But I just want to thank all of the National Guard service members that have been out there. It's been 116 degrees with the heat index, and the leaders have done a fabulous job making sure that they've been hydrated, but they're doing their mission. We haven't had any injuries, and I want to thank all the families and the employers of all those National Guard members, because when we call and they respond, obviously they leave their place of employment. And in West Virginia, the employers have been incredibly supportive. We want that to continue, of course. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Great, thank you, John. Chris?
Yes, sir. Marion County operations are just about back to normal that we have here. Last night we had a little scare with some water rescues and some flooding last night, but thankfully everything so far has turned out good with it. Our debris pickup went very well. It was a little faster than what we thought we could get done. It went good. The guard troops were absolutely excellent with that help. The City of Fairmont's workers were tremendous with our county workers picking up the debris. So we're very happy with that. We're very happy with the support that we have from you all. It's been refreshing to see how fast we can get help from the state and the continued support from you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
Chris. Appreciate it. And we have several senators, a delegate. I don't know if anyone would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Governor. Just want to say thank you to the governor, to the National Guard, to our first responders here in Marion County. With everything we were up against, everybody coming together, thank the good Lord, we had no loss of life, and we were able to get some stuff to some supplies to people that really needed it. Thanks again to all those folks that stepped up and volunteered. As the governor said, we come together, we'll come out of this stronger and better. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Mike Oliverio, State Senator, Marion County, Montague County. I too want to just echo Delegate Mala's comments and the other comments. This has been a real whole of government type solution at every level, whether it's been governor's office, the DNR, DOH, the National Guard, the DEP, the local level government officials, all the way down to the Marion County Health Department out providing tetanus shots. So, I mean, this has been a complete government wraparound of this problem, in addition to our community organizations like the United Way and others who have helped people during their time of need. And we also want to thank Fairmont State University for immediately establishing housing for the folks that lost their apartments. And so I think it's been a great model for other areas of the country to look at what we've been able to accomplish here. And I've been proud to play a very small part in that and watch the efforts of so many others as well.
Senator Clements?
Thank you, Governor. I'm Charles Clements, the senator from the 2nd District, which encompasses the western part of Marion County. The best thing I can always say is, Governor, thank you. This is West Virginia. Nowhere else in the country do I believe that we come together like we do in a time of crisis, as we do here in West Virginia. Thanks to all those who stood up. Thanks to all those who are still working in this heat. And we know that West Virginia will be strong and will come out of this stronger than ever.
So thank you, Senator. We appreciate the support of the legislature, and I want to thank them for their engagement, their involvement. And Mayor, thank you, and the manager. We really appreciate just how everyone has stepped up. So I want to now open it up for the media for questions. Any questions from the media? Sir.
Yeah, Times West Virginian. Are you going to call on the legislature to fund the Flood Resiliency Trust Fund after this?
So we've been working closely with the legislature on a number of different issues. I can say that we've still been funding a number of projects through our civil contingency fund. So there are resources that have been deployed, but I'm very open for discussions about that. But I want to make sure everyone understands, we have resources that have been available for the Milton flood wall. We have funded a number of studies to match some of the federal dollars that are out there. And I think it is important to look at the plan that was originally put in place in 2004, because a lot of that was never really funded over the years. So I'm very open to doing this, make sure that things that are avoidable can be avoided. And so if that means putting some additional resources in, we do that. I will tell you that some of what we saw up in Ohio County and here, some of it, it's hard to say that certain things could have been avoided. If you went up to Triadelphia and you were at Elm Grove and you saw the pace in which the rain came down, you're talking about 4 inches in 40 minutes. And what happened in Marion County, a lot of that, no amount of preparation, everyone would say, would have been able to prepare for that. Now, what you need to do is if you have a plan, you have to look at it and see the best way to address it. There's been a plan on the books for a long period of time, and I think it's very legitimate to look at how that plan is coming along and anything you can do to address it.
Okay, we know there have been strong recovery efforts in Marion County. Would you say that the county is back up to full steam overall as far as recovery? Like, where are we at now as far as recovery in Marion County?
Well, I think the folks in Marion County have really rallied around the hardest hit areas. So recovery is ongoing, and there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. I know when I just participated in the roundtable meeting, a number of issues were brought to my attention, and I want to work with the local officials and with the delegates and senators to keep addressing longer term concerns. Obviously, you go through phases. There's the immediacy of what happens when you have 3 feet, 5 feet, 8 feet of water in front of you, and how that water has to recede, and then how you have to clean the debris, and you have to open up the roads, how you have to rely on the linemen as they're restoring the power, and then you're engaging DEP. You have all these different agencies that are involved, and then as time goes on, the nature of the challenge changes as well. Longer term issues in terms of infrastructure that might need to be addressed, and we want to make sure that we're doing that and we're getting the full report. That's why I think it's especially important for people to submit that information, the disaster survey instrument, because that can be very helpful. We know that through the FEMA process, there are actually 3 different forms of relief that can occur. That's the individual assistance, that's the public assistance in terms of public infrastructure. There's also a hazard mitigation fund where it's warranted. That might help you engage in prevention and resilience. And so we want to look at all those issues to do whatever we can, because once again, things that are avoidable should be avoided. And we're big believers in that. Question for the media, sir.
Do you know of any more information that has come to light regarding the apartment collapse or cause?
I don't have more information on that. I know that there's also some evaluation going on in terms of what's going to happen with that building. I expect that we'll be able to report some information in the upcoming days in terms of the future of that structure or what happens over there. But I'm not in a position to comment really on that right now. Other questions from the media?
Yeah, as far as the FEMA stuff goes, is there a timeline that kind of people can look to as far as like getting money from FEMA?
So we submitted our application very, very fast. And obviously there'll be opportunities to keep supplementing the application as more data comes in. That's why I'm encouraging people to avail themselves of that disaster survey document. We've been in close contact with the administration. So what I can say is we're going to keep pushing as hard as we can. And I know that the administration has been very supportive in West Virginia. Last week, it was reported that the match for some of the work done in southern West Virginia changed, and it went up to 90-10, and that was just a godsend for the state. So I'm appreciative of that. But I can tell you that every day we're working really hard and we're pushing it. I want to thank the congressional delegation that stepped up right away. They wrote a letter. I know they're weighing in as well. So there's no specific timeline to announce right now, but I can report to people that we're doing everything imaginable to push and to try to get help for those who need it. Any other questions from the media? Yeah, go ahead.
In the event of more floods throughout the summer, how is the state possibly more prepared than at the beginning of the summer?
I can tell you this, that we have a terrific group of people that are working diligently on all of these issues. And it's so important that as they go through this process, that if there are key learnings from any flood situation, that you deal with that. And I can say that our team on the Ohio County, Marion County, we've tried to make ourselves available. I try to be 24/7. Our team is too. That's important, and everyone has to act that way. When you have a crisis, you run toward it and you help your brothers and sisters in need. And so that's one of my biggest takeaways, that this administration is going to be very aggressive in terms of helping local communities. That's critical, and the state should count on that. No final questions from, all right, last question from you.
This one's actually about Worthington. I know some residents reached out to your office about what's going on with their sewage crisis. I saw the mayor here walking out earlier. I'm just curious if that's come up in discussions with you.
People have raised the issues, the questions of Worthington, and we're happy to engage and talk about that. You know, something that I think you probably covered the other day is that we had announced that we had found some resources that we could match with the federal government. So there was a lot of money, a lot of that's pre-committed. You know, you work out with the EPA, DEP, some of those projects, but we're always going to look into different ways that we can help and address things. And so I know that I get a request about this from a lot of communities across the state, and we have heard about that. And, you know, I want to make sure that wherever we can help, we want to help. But we'll probably get additional information. The mayor did raise those issues this morning.
Governor, if I may amplify one of your answers with respect to flood prevention in the future. The legislature this year passed and the governor signed into law funding for earthen dams to be built around West Virginia. And those are really designed to eliminate flooding in communities across our state. And that's been a renewed commitment of the Senate Finance Committee, and with the governor's signature, there will be additional dollars available to put those earthen dams in place to protect communities from flooding.
Yeah, and let me add to that as well. I know people ask these questions, but when something happens, immediately we deploy our resources and we spare nothing. We attack the problem aggressively. That means you immediately can expect to see people from DOH and DEP, and then we've called the Guard in. And so those are dollars that draw out of our civil contingency fund, which the legislature funds. So I want everyone to understand that resources go to attack these problems. And just a few weeks ago, out of our civil contingency fund, we had funded various flood resiliency projects, doing analysis. There was money available from the feds that we ended up matching. And that's to make sure that in some regions of the state, we have more information, more data, that we can engage in more prevention efforts. But obviously, we utilize that fund. There are different segments of that fund that are set out for flooding. And I want to make sure that everyone knows we try to tap into that. We're very aggressive to try to help people in need. All right. I want to say thank you to everyone for joining. I appreciate it. West Virginia, we're going to get through these big challenges. Just been a stretch of weather that's hard to imagine over the last couple weeks, but I know that everyone's going to stay strong. Everyone's going to look out for their brothers and sisters, and we're going to have your back the whole way. Thank you, and God bless you, West Virginia.